Are you thinking about moving to Corvallis and you're wondering if it's the right city for you? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss 5 different things that you should know before moving to Corvallis. Hey, I'm Tyler Thomas with eXp Realty. I'm a realtor here in the Corvallis area. I grew up in the Corvallis area in nearby Philomath and also lived in Corvallis, so I know the area very well. So in this video, we're going to cover the size of Corvallis, the location, the weather, the schools, and the overall cost of living. If you got any questions about Corvallis or you want to see how I can help you move to our great area, go ahead and message me. My information is in the description below. You can also subscribe to my channel for more information about Corvallis and all the surrounding areas. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to cover is the size of Corvallis. And Corvallis is actually the 10th largest city in all of Oregon, with a population hovering around 60,000 people. Corvallis being home of Oregon State University, this population is also going to be a lot of students. Corvallis can definitely feel like 2 separate cities depending on what time of the year it is. When it's summer, the town feels like it really just shrinks dramatically because a lot of those students are going to be gone. And when it is the school year, the town's really going to feel like it has that true 60,000 people. Now, Corvallis really is a very active city, I'd say, but it's also pretty laid back. Oregon as a whole definitely has a lower population, especially for its size, than a lot of the other states in the US. And especially when comparing some of our largest cities in the state compared to some other states, ours just, feel a lot smaller, and by the numbers are smaller. Corvallis does have a fair amount of shopping for your day-to-day needs, but when you're having a lot more of a specific different shopping, especially with some bigger like clothing stores and stuff, you're just gonna be heading out of town. We still do have a fair amount of stores, things like Fred Meyer, TJ Maxx, a Ross, for some reason a Wilco and Coastal Farms damn near next to each other. But a lot of Corvallis is gonna end up being more your small mom and pop shops and your more boutique shopping. The downtown areas, we're going to see a lot of that. We also have some great more furniture stores down there, really good options. We also have some other newer ones around the rest of Corvallis. We got a fair amount of different places to get groceries. It's pretty important to people in town. We've got different Safeways, Winco. We've got Market of Choice, Natural Grocers, and a few other different co-ops. And a great thing about Corvallis is, say there's things you want for clothes or different larger items that there's just not the shops in Corvallis for. You've got different stores nearby, so a lot of people will be making a short drive to somewhere else for a lot of those items. So you're not going to have to worry about driving hours to go find things. We've got a lot of other cities nearby where you're probably going to find what you're looking for. We've got a pretty good selection currently of different restaurants in town. More downtowns, we're going to find some of your more higher end restaurants, you could say. You're also going to have a lot of different good places for families. It being a college town, you've got some really good college eats, especially kind of near campus. So you've got a lot of good options in town. There's definitely a lot of different kinds of cultural restaurants in town. So if you're coming from somewhere else, take a look around because you're probably going to find something you'd like. So like I said, Corvallis is a larger city in Oregon. A lot of our population is this college students. So it's something to think about if you're moving to town. And next up is the location of Corvallis. When talking about location, we can think of it in the way of your proximity to other areas for activities and just taking a nice day trip, as well as your job options, so location of where your job options are, and your commute. Corvallis is actually located just about a 30-minute drive to I-5, and that'll get you then to the rest of the cities in the I-5 corridor. Corvallis has many education, tech jobs, and also a fair amount of health jobs, so that's a lot of the things that people will be doing in Corvallis is working in those sectors. Both HP and OSU are in town, and those are definitely 2 of the biggest employers when thinking about Corvallis. Corvallis actually has quite a bit of different roads, more main roads surrounding it, and those can get you to a fair amount of other cities for your work. A lot of the cities nearby, people end up working. You can head out west to Newport, you can head south towards Junction City, Eugene, go north towards Monmouth Independence, even heading out to Salem, as well as to the east is Albany, Lebanon. Albany is just a 20-minute drive off to the east, and it's a very popular commute for people in the area. Albany is going to be a little more of the manufacturing sector, so if you're looking for that kind of a job, you can go ahead and kind of look more towards Albany, as well as for a few other things that Corvallis might not have, just because it is fairly close. Monmouth Independence is only about half an hour away, Salem being about 45, as well as Eugene about, depending on if you're going 99 or I-5, it can be anywhere between 50 minutes to an hour. Getting in and out of times can sometimes be a little bit of an issue right now. Hopefully it'll be improved in the future with a construction going on for our new bridge. They took out the bridge a couple months ago. I've been working on it. It looks so far like we're making a good amount of progress. It's just slow going right now downtown, but hopefully it's going to get better. Heading on Highway 20 on the northeast part of town is one way of getting out in that area, as a lot of people live kind of more out in the rural areas, and it's also one of the most popular ways to get to Albany. Highway 34 is that road on the east part of town that connects you to downtown, and that will connect you over to I-5. The location as a whole is pretty dang expensive. Benton County, the county that Corvallis is in, is most definitely one of the most expensive counties in our area. We kind of more price match the counties up more in the Portland area than our general surrounding counties. We're going to cover more of these prices in the cost of living later in the video. Now, I'm trying to plan a day trip around Corvallis. It is actually in a really great spot. I want to go to the beach. Well, Newport is just about an hour west, and they've got a lot of activities there. Heading out east into the Cascade Mountain Range is where you're going to get into a lot of good snowboarding, skiing. You got some really good hiking trails and biking. This overall close proximity to, it seems like, everything you could want to do is one of my favorite things about growing up in the area. You've got different rivers to go fishing. If you want to go take a kayak out, you got Foster Lake over in Sweet Home, which is not far away. You also aren't that far away from Portland for like a Blazer game. You've got the Beaver games of all kinds. Also, if you are, a Duck fan, also Eugene's not too far away. Now, next up, we have weather. Now, in our area, we usually have what is known as temperate rainforest-like conditions. So, we're going to be pretty wet. Most things out to the east of the Cascades are going to be more dry. Those mountains just kind of keep all the moisture on our side. Oregon as a whole typically has that reputation of just kind of being constantly wet. People think it's just always raining here. There's always that running joke of if you see a person with an umbrella, they're probably not from here. And typically, like most places, when the winter months, when it gets dark around 4:35, these days can start feeling a bit short. During the months of November to March are typically our wettest months, so sometimes it's honestly not that bad, but then some years it's just plain old awful, and you kind of just wish you would stop. But in that time frame, we also sometimes get like a nice little spiel of weather, but then Oregon decides to kind of clap back at us and just drench us even more. In our area, we typically don't get a whole lot of snow. When we do get snow, things shut down. We're definitely not built for that like a lot of other places. We don't typically get more than like an inch or two at times. When we get a lot of snow, like over 10 years ago, we got like 12 inches, and it just shut stuff down for a while. More east of the Cascades, some mountain ranges more to the west as well as south, is where you're going to get more of that snow. As of recent, we've had more trouble with ice storms. They've come through, and especially last year, it lasted for a long time where it just dumped a bunch of ice, and it was just cold enough to where it would freeze, it started to melt again, it would freeze again, and that created a lot of issues. So we haven't been getting a lot of snow, but we have been getting more ice. Summers are usually pretty comfortable around here. We're in that like upper 70s, 80s a lot of the time. We are getting up into those 80s and 100s, but it's not extremely often. And a lot of people around here always kind of say, we're just not built for this. It gets to a certain temp, and we're looking to hit at the movie theater and just kind of stay inside. Now we're going to talk about schools. Corvallis has 7 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, a K through 8 school, as well as a charter school. It's all in the district. Outside of that, there's also some alternative schools as well. So in the area, you've actually got a fair amount of different options. Your high schools for the area are going to be Corvallis High School as well as Crescent Valley High School. Corvallis has definitely always done a really good job of making sure that their schools are taken care of. In the last few years, they've actually done a lot of renovations on our schools, as well as completely redoing 2 different schools. Both Lincoln Elementary in Southtown, as well as Bessie Coleman in the more northwest part of town, were torn down and redone, and they look exceptional. A lot of the other schools had a lot of work done, either add-ons, different playgrounds, fixing a roof. There's just been a lot of work done lately. I also currently work at an elementary school here in town, and shameless plug, they are great. When looking at the total ranking of the district, Corvallis does exceptionally well when compared to other cities in the Willamette Valley. Of course, maybe not everyone agrees on a certain grade, or it might not be that important to you, but I'm going to leave the link to the website I use for all these grades in the description, so you can go ahead and take a look for yourself. And they have Corvallis ranked as an A for the school district. Also not too far away, up 99 in Dare Village is a private school, St. Anne Christian, so you've also got that option. Now, as I previously said, Corvallis is home to Oregon State University, and it has a whopping 34,000 students. College has always a lot of different activities going on. Of course, you've got all the different sports that OSU has. You've got different football, baseball, basketball, as well as the other sports to go ahead and cheer on. And something Corvallis definitely always has is a lot of school pride. And Corvallis is always, or was always called, the best college town in the Pac-12. Don't know what's gonna be called now, but dang it, we still are. And next up is the cost of living. I've done a whole video on the cost of living for Corvallis, so you can go ahead and look at that video for a more in-depth look at Corvallis. But here in this video, I will cover a few different things. And I'm going to use some stats from that bestplaces.net website that I'm getting my information from. And Corvallis has an overall cost of living score of 108.7. And with it being 108.7, that means it is 8.7% more expensive than the US average, 100 being that US average. And they're using things such as housing, food, childcare, transportation, healthcare, taxes, and other necessities. Now, what's also interesting is that Corvallis is 4.6% less than the Oregon average. And that definitely did surprise me a bit. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Corvallis and compare it to some of the neighboring cities. As generally people in the area know, that Corvallis is just more expensive than the surrounding areas. And something we're going to look at is the median sales price. And oftentimes between a place like Corvallis and even Albany, it can be a difference of like $100,000. Yes, that is a lot, and no, it doesn't often get that much closer than that. And it definitely is a cause as why a lot of people choose to live kind of on the outskirts as well as nearby in Albany, just because of that price difference. A lot of people really will live in nearby Albany, North Albany area, and then commute to Corvallis. There's been a lot of newer apartment complexes built in Corvallis in the last couple of years. One thing we have as a problem with the housing is just inventory. It's really keeping the prices of homes up. As with a lot of places, that's really an issue we have, and there's just not a lot of houses out there, so it just creates more competition, which just keeps driving those prices. Cities that closer match the price of a home of Corvallis are more of the cities up near the Portland area as opposed to right nearby Corvallis. The cities that are nearby Corvallis in that Mid-Willamette area are just typically quite a bit cheaper than Corvallis. There's been quite a bit of movement lately in the median sales price. I also just want to give you an example of what the prices of a home, at least right now, will be in the area, but you can also use it as a marker for just showing the price difference of Corvallis and these closer areas. So for Corvallis, for the month of October, the median sales price was $584,500, and September was $495,000. And yeah, that's dang near $100,000. And now basically next door is Albany, and for October was $444,000, and for September was $400,000. That's a little bit more of a change than we typically see, but it also shows that price difference between Corvallis and even Albany, which is only about a 20-minute drive. And now looking at just north at Salem, the state's capital, October was $420,000 and September was $423,000. So not a lot of difference there. And when looking at these, sometimes what's available in a city, so what amenities they have, can kind of play into this. But for Corvallis, a lot of it has to do, I feel like, with it just being a big college town, having OSU there, as well as the inventory just not being where it needs to be. And that's it. That's 5 different things that you should know and think about before deciding if Corvallis is right for you. If you want more information on Corvallis, you can go ahead and message me. I'm glad to get you any information you want and help you decide if Corvallis fits your needs. My information is in the description below. That said, I'm Tyler Thomas, the E3 Realty. If you're looking to live in Corvallis and all the surrounding areas, we're glad to be a resource for all real estate needs.